we are gonna paint our pencil. So make sure that your holes are at the top, and make sure you have it flipped whichever direction you want it. So the first step is painter's tape. We're gonna put painter's tape in some areas. I've already have it on your table, so just peel it off. This is gonna separate your eraser, the metal part of your pencil, and then the yellow part. So just make sure the edges are nice and stuck. So I'm gonna make my silver part 2 of these wide, and then we're gonna use little pieces to separate that. So you have one big piece, so take it and you're just going to, I'm gonna start on that little corner and diagonal up. Make a zigzag with my tape. So just make sure your tape is stuck down. So the middle right here is where we're gonna start. You should have a small green brush, a foam brush, water, paper towel. We have black, pink, white, brown, and a dark yellow. So you're gonna start with your foam brush and we're gonna start with the yellow. Now this is gonna be the middle of your pencil. Now be careful, you do wanna spread it out. You don't wanna leave any clumps. So this foam brush is gonna go in the trash can. We are done with the foam brush. Now, the next thing we're gonna move to is the pink. This is gonna stay right here and this is gonna stay right here. We're gonna blow dry this after we do the pink, and then we will take the tape off and finish it off. So with your brush, your pink, and you're gonna paint this end. Be careful, you don't wanna, see I just got paint in that hole. Do not wanna do that. Right up to this tape because we're gonna put silver in the middle of the pink and yellow, or gray, I guess is what I wanna say. Smooth it out so you have no big clumps. Okay, paintbrush, make sure that you take your paintbrush, go ahead, gently bounce it in the bottom of your cup without splattering, take it straight out and then dab it on your paper towel to get all the water off and just leave it on your paper towel. You're gonna take this back to the table where my blow dryer is. We're gonna blow dry this layer before we move on to the next step. Now that this layer is dry, go ahead and carefully remove the painter's tape and please throw it into the trash can. You're gonna see a few little places where it slipped through, and don't worry, we'll be covering it up. Now make sure your paintbrush is completely dry. We're going to be making the brown color where the wood part of the pencil shows. On your paint palette, take a little white, move it over towards the brown, and carefully mix up a lighter brown. The color on the palette is a burnt umber, so we need it to be lightened up. Once you have that color, you're going to first follow those zigzags that we use the painter's tape to measure off. This is where you can cover up any parts that the yellow paint kind of leaked out. Now be careful, you can see that I've actually created 2 browns because I did not use the same brown. So when you mix it up, make sure to mix up enough. So follow the edges of the zigzag, follow the edges of the outside of the pencil, and then you're going to completely paint in that top point. Now that we have finished with the brown, go ahead, grab your water, gently bounce the paintbrush in the bottom of the cup, and make sure you completely get all the water dried off on your paper towel. Now we're going to be creating the gray, which is the middle part of your pencil. Again, take a little white, move it over to the black. Black is stronger, so you literally need a very tiny bit of black to create a gray color. Make sure you make enough of it, again, so we don't have different shades of gray. So once you find the gray shade that you like, you are painting in between the pink and the yellow area of the pencil. Once we finish with the gray, go ahead, grab your brush. Please rinse it off in the cup by gently bouncing in the cup, dabbing it on your paper towel. We need to blow dry this layer before we move on, so make sure you bring your pencil back to where we can blow dry. Now we're going to move on to the lead of the pencil, so everything should be completely dry. If you have any painter's tape, you could use a little piece to mark off the area you want to paint black, or you can come get some painter's tape, or simply just paint a line and paint towards the tip. This is just black paint, so just paint a little triangle of black paint at the tip of your pencil. Then go ahead and make sure to get all the black paint off your brush. And if you use painter's tape, go ahead and rip it off and throw that in the trash. There are a few different techniques we can use for this last part. You can use a permanent marker of mine, and you can kind of trace all the lines separating all the different colors, and then add some horizontal lines going where the zigzags are. That is one technique that you use to outline all the shapes. Or use a piece of chalk to write words, and then you can trace over it with black paint. You could write your name. You could write other teacher's name. You could write welcome. You could write pencil station. So any words could go in the middle with the lines with the permanent marker or without the lines with the permanent marker. I am going to use my paint, and I'm going to create some other details. So I'm mixing up a little of the yellow with the burnt umber to get a shade darker than we used on the pencil. Once I found that little bit of a darker shade, I'm going to be painting horizontal lines where the zigzag is on the pencil. To just help keep my line straight, again, chalk is always one way to do it, or again, painter's tape. So I'm just going to lay painter's tape down, and I'm only going to be painting on the top edge of the painter's tape. Now that I've got the horizontal lines, I'm going to go ahead and rip off the painter's tape carefully and go ahead and throw that straight into the trash can. The next thing I'm going to add are 2 vertical lines in the gray or metal part of the pencil. I'm not going to use painter's tape. I'm not going to use chalk. I'm just going to draw it freehand. So again, this is just another technique you can do to create a little bit more detail in your pencil. So I just make sure I find a darker gray shade by mixing the 2 colors, because it needs to be different than what's already on there. And then I draw. I've noticed the wood is a little bit rough, so you kind of have to go over it several times, or get a little water on your brush to water down the paint for it to kind of move more smoothly across the wood sign. The last detail I decided to do was take a little white, mix it in with my pink to make a little bit lighter shade pink to add a highlight on the eraser. So I just kind of do a upside down backwards L on the top corner. I even kind of messed up, so I kind of had to wait and blow dry it and then kind of go back over it with the pink to make it look a little bit more of what I wanted. But these are all ideas you could do to add a little more detail to your pencil. And here you can see how I finished it off. I just added one more highlight where the brown pencil is. Okay, going over the putting the wire. So you'll just make sure you poke it from front to back, and then you're just going to bend it a bit to the front, and then you're just going to twist it around the little piece around the bigger piece. So you just kind of be careful because it poke you. I do have a pair of pliers that we can use to help pull it through, pull it up, and then kind of wrap it around when it gets too small to use our fingers. Once you have your wire hanger, there's a few different options for the fabric ribbon. I've cut some green and white polka dot and some black and white gingham. The gingham ones are much shorter than the polka dot, so it just depends on the look you are going for. So the first one, I just take the gingham and knot it and then tie it into a bow on the uglier wire side. So I've kind of looked at my wire and see where I didn't do a very good job twisting the wire, and I've tried to cover it up with the bow. So this is one way you can add a little decoration to your pencil sign. I'm going to show you a few more ways you can use the fabric bows.